I'm really excited to be here today. The topic that we're going to be discussing is listing optimization demystified. Uh, all Amazon sellers have to work on their listings, and we're going to give you some tips and tricks in order to understand the best strategies for Amazon seller success. So I'm Mike Sheshik. I'm the president of small and medium business at Jungle Scout. I have worked at a variety of really large e-commerce firms, including Amazon and Dell and Groupon and publishing house Ziff Davis. But one of the most fun things that I like to do is I am a seller on Amazon as well. I've been selling since 2016. I'm in the pets category. I've had a variety of different categories that I've sold over the past 7 years. And I love selling on Amazon. It's a fantastic business. And so some of the tips and the tricks that I'm going to be talking to you about are things that I actually do in my own personal business, or also as it relates to the Jungle Scout $1 Million Case Study products. We have a couple examples of those too on how we've optimized those listings. So thanks for being with us here today. I'm really hoping that you can get some great value out of this conversation. So today's agenda: first, for people who are relatively new, why listing optimization matters. And then the second thing is listing optimization challenges and solutions. We're going to talk about, what some people do really, really well and what some people don't do very well that potentially could improve their listing and their business performance. So starting off with why listing optimization matters. Listing optimization is key for having your product be visible on the Amazon storefront. You, as a seller, have to optimize your listing with relevant keywords because those increase your chances of actually being found by customers. And as you know, Amazon has an incredibly wide variety of products in their catalog, and you need to make sure that your listing has the right keywords in order to be found by potential customers. The second thing is, with visibility, you also need to stand out from the competition. And so nobody wants to see an identical listing, image after image after image. Variety is important, and we're going to talk about some of the ways to accomplish that. Another reason for listing optimization is higher conversion rates. So what we've found, at least through the stories that we've heard from our selling partners at Jungle Scout, conversion targets of around 10% are generally normal. That's what people who are selling on Amazon try to achieve. Now, if you compare that to people who have their own storefront on Shopify or other platforms, those conversion rates usually wind up centering somewhere between 1% and 3%. So when you obviously look at 1% to 3%, versus 10%, your chances of having a much more beneficial business goes with the 10%, and that would be Amazon. But not everybody reaches that 10%. So some of the things that you need to do, in order to hit that 10% are things we're going to talk about today. One of the best things to think about this is that if you get a higher conversion rate on your products, then you will get higher keyword ranking from Amazon's algorithms. And the higher the keyword ranking, the more that you will sell. And so it's a very symbiotic process. You want to continue improving your listings. That will get you higher conversion, which in return will get you higher placement in Amazon's organic listings. So stay tuned. We'll have lots more to talk about with overall conversion rates going forward. And then another reason, which is equally as important to the others, is if you have an optimized listing, you're going to have an enhanced user experience. When customers come to an Amazon listing, they're expecting to have information. They want to know exactly what the product is going to look like. They want to know exactly how the product can be used. They want to know how that product stacks up competitively versus some of the other products that they could be comparing them to. And it's really important that you have your listing optimized in order to achieve that. Another thing is, nobody likes to receive bad reviews. It hurts your overall listing quality. And so the more and the better description that you can have as part of your listing means that you're most likely going to have fewer returns if people are understanding exactly what it is that they'll be receiving. Then, return rate. People don't necessarily like to have a lot of their products returned. And one of the most common ways that things get returned is if the product is different than what the description says. So, if you want great reviews and you want low returns, then you need to have a very, very compelling listing. And another thing is, if you'll notice on Amazon, you can see where customers have asked questions. You can either respond to those questions right there in front of customers on that listing. You can also take those same learnings and move them into the actual text and bullet points that you're using on your listing as well. So let's talk about the listing optimization challenges and solutions and give some good examples here. Listing optimization challenges. Not gonna lie, some people are better at writing listings than other folks. And so when you think about the challenges, the first thing is, it can be time consuming. If you are not a great copywriter, then that could be a big challenge. If you're expected to write not just the bullet points and the title, but also the product description. Another challenge is not using all the space allowed that Amazon gives you in order to talk about your listing. When you go into Seller Central and you start working on your listing, Amazon is going to tell you the number of characters that you can have on your bullet points and on your description. So you want to be able to have as much writing as possible for those particular fields, while also not duplicating keywords. So there's a term called keyword stuffing. That's when you use, the same keywords over and over and over again. I'll give an example, like for, my pet products, if I'm selling a dog collar, then you don't have to say the word dog 300 times, in your listing. People will understand, and the algorithm will understand that you are talking about dog collars. Same thing with people who sell, foods, for instance, and they use the word organic over and over and over again. It's just simply not necessary. And so you don't have to repeat the same words many, many times. Another challenge is keywords that you're unaware that customers are even using. That is a very persistent problem. The way that people search changes over time. And so many sellers have a challenge figuring out exactly what new keywords are being used. Another challenge, and by the way, we're going to get to solutions on all this, so just give me one sec. When you're talking about keywords, there's a term called long tail and short tail. Long tail tends to be more descriptive and have higher conversion rates, and I'll give you an example of that in a sec. And then the last challenge is adhering to the rules. So one of the big things that you absolutely need to do is follow Amazon's terms of service. And all of those guidelines are posted on Seller Central. You can look and see exactly what those terms of service are. And if you abide by those, then your listing may not get suppressed. And nobody likes a suppressed listing. So let's talk about some of those in more detail. One solution is using long tail keywords. So if you adopt a strategy that includes long tail keywords, you're more likely to have a scenario where someone is searching directly for the product that you have. Now, over here on the right-hand side, we have a chart. It's called long tail SEO. The very short tail is the most common term, which is shoes in our example. Now, that's great, but competing on the word shoes is going to be very challenging from an overall placement perspective, since there's so many different types of shoes that people could be potentially shopping for. So then you start narrowing things down. You can see the 2 to 3 word phrases, which are men's shoes, which is good. It's a little bit better. But then if you really want to be descriptive, you can look at the last example there, which is the long tail SEO. And our example is red Nike men's running shoes. So we would highly encourage people to be as descriptive as possible as they're going through their listing optimization. in order to make sure that you're getting the right traffic that best suits the product that you're trying to sell. All right, another solution, listing optimization tools. This is a really fascinating category right now. Jungle Scout was the first company to incorporate artificial intelligence assistance for listing building into our product. We launched that back in March of 2023, and the response has been pretty phenomenal. And so an example, of AI Assist, and by the way, it doesn't have to be just Jungle Scout. You could also use, ChatGPT through OpenAI, or a variety of other potential tools in order to get you some good descriptions. All you have to do with this is, if you create a list of keywords that best match the product that you're looking to sell, then you can have the listing builders use your keyword list through AI Assist in order to come up with a title or bullet points or a description. Each of those three things you can tell AI Assist to help you with, and it will use ChatGPT and OpenAI to come up with some suggestions that actually include the keywords that you find the most important. Now, you may be asking, how do you get those keywords in the first place? That is something that primarily comes through either software tools like Jungle Scout, or, I've even looked inside of Seller Central through the advertising campaign platform, and have done some keyword research in there as well. And so you've got multiple options in order to go and do that. One fun thing is that through some of the keyword tools, you can actually reverse engineer your competitors' keywords. And so all you would have to do is put in an ASIN, and it will tell you what keywords that particular product ranks for. And if that's in your competitive set, then that's a wealth of information on how to compete on longer tail keywords that may not have been part of your original list. But AI is awesome. It's really fun. One other thing that we say is a solution, as I mentioned, play by the rules. Whenever you have a violation of an Amazon terms and condition, then there's a very high likelihood that your listing will get suppressed. And a suppressed listing is not fun, especially if you have inventory that's actually sitting in FBA, because you will still be incurring storage fees for that inventory even while your listing is suppressed. And so some big don'ts, things that you want to avoid. You don't want to put contact information or links to your website, as part of your listing. You also don't want to use any sort of code, in your listing itself that can be perceived as trying to get around terms of service. You also don't want to include any details about availability or price in your listing, because when you look on an Amazon listing, you're going to see availability and the number of units that the seller has left. If there's a small number left, you'll also wind up seeing the price, of that particular product. And if you are selling on a listing that has multiple sellers, then clearly the buy box could change as to which seller is currently winning the buy box. And so you would not want to reference any sort of pricing as part of your listing bullets at all, because that pricing could change. And then one other thing, it probably goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. You cannot request positive reviews. And so if you are found to be harvesting false reviews or getting reviews from any sort of other non-terms of service related activities, then don't do that. Your listing will get flagged, and then you'll get paused, and that's not very much fun. All right. Let's talk about product images for a second. This is one of my favorite images to talk about, because I don't even know what this is. It's hot. Garage door bottom weather seal for 16-inch wide doors is the name of the title. It's got a less than 5-star rating. It's around 4 stars, not so good. I don't even know what this image is, or what this little circular band here is, or even how this works. But you can see immediately that this listing is not going to convert very well. You have over on the right-hand side, it says brand unknown, which means that they didn't trademark it. or they didn't wind up creating a brand name for their product. You can also see, material and color that are just put, as pictured, but the picture is not very good. And so images do wonders for changing your conversion rate. There are agencies that can help you do images. You can also take images with an iPhone, to be honest. And if you're not good at Photoshop, then you can find someone on Fiverr or one of the other sort of gig services that can create a white background, on your image for, a very affordable rate. Definitely don't have images that are blurry. Don't have images that are small, or non-zoomable or dark. And be sure to use the whole range of images that you have available to us. Right now, you can load, I believe, up to 7 images. And then if you have a trademark brand and you're doing A+ content, you can also have imagery as part of your A+ content too. And so that from top to bottom, tells a really big story. And then, of course, if you're doing sponsored brands at the top of the page, then you can have even more imagery. And at the end, more imagery is better than less. One solution, coming back to artificial intelligence again, the images that you see on the right-hand side are from Jungle Scout's $1 Million Case Study. There was one series where we did marshmallow bamboo sticks. And we found while looking at the reviews that a lot of people were using the marshmallow sticks not for marshmallows. They were actually using them for chicken kebabs. And so we took a different view of the kebab, and instead what we used was Photoshop and their generative fill capabilities. And so what you effectively do is you lasso an area of an image, where you can see the chicken kebab is there today. And there's actually a search bar down below in Photoshop now where they're integrating AI, and you can say insert, chicken kebab, and lo and behold, there it is. And that image worked out great. Lots of these marshmallow sticks actually had marshmallows in the images from a competitive perspective. And so we did play around and see a conversion increase, once we tried a different image versus just the standard marshmallow. Now, if you haven't played around with AI image services like Midjourney or Adobe Firefly, they're really fascinating. They have come so far, even in the past 6 months, that it is pretty staggering to be able to see how much you can do with AI images today. But AI doesn't solve everything. It's a good starting point for your listing optimization, but it's not perfect. And so just realize that you are going to have to read over the text that you're getting back from the AI engine just to make sure that it's really to the point and is creating the best use of keywords possible without keyword stuffing. And you don't want to use AI as a crutch. If you completely want to back out of any sort of engagement, then you're better off hiring a copywriter to help you out versus just relying on artificial intelligence, because you do need to stay involved and make sure that it's delivering the messages that you want it to deliver. All right, so for the takeaways, we'll start again with the don'ts, just so everybody's all on the same page. What not to do. Don't do keyword stuffing on product titles, bullets, and descriptions. It's not necessary, and it's not search engine optimized. Don't use poor quality images. Your images are everything. They are really telling the story. And so for your first couple of white background images, those are great. But when you get to image number 3 or 4, highly encourage you to consider using infographics or any sort of lifestyle shots, which can also be photoshopped as well. Also, on the don'ts, don't include product descriptions that don't thoroughly describe the product. It seems funny to say this out loud, but you need to make sure that what you're showing in your image and what your product actually looks like is very clearly defined in the text and the bullet points and the descriptions. Once you have something that doesn't have all the descriptions, you're not going to want to be in the keywords. And I'll give one more example here. A lot of people make the mistake of going and buying something off of AliExpress or Alibaba and then trying to list it directly onto Amazon using descriptions from AliExpress or Alibaba. Those are not optimized listings. And I'm sure there's someone out there that's made that be successful in the past. I have not seen that be successful. And so would highly encourage everyone to continue spending some time on optimizing your bullet points and listing text. All right, so what to do? Use relevant long tail, high volume search keywords. You can see as an example on the right, this is one of the Jungle Scouts Jungle Creations products. We did a $1 million case study series on, these are puppy pee pads. We really like pets at Jungle Scout, and so we tend to have some pets related things. But what you'll notice when looking at this listing is the copy is easy to read. It's not filled with random keywords. We're not including competitors' keywords either, or names. That's not okay. The imagery is fantastic. The video associated with it is great as well. And then on top of that, since we are brand registered with Amazon, we did A+ content that also has useful, very useful information and graphics that captures your vision as you're scrolling down an Amazon listing page. Now, one thing you can do is you can actually, through Seller Central, you can request reviews. Of course, Amazon will send that email to request reviews. It won't be coming from you, and that's really, really important as well. And there are also software tools that can automate requesting reviews for you via Amazon if you sell a whole bunch of products and don't want to go through every single order in Seller Central in order to select it. And one more thing, if you're shipping by fulfillment by merchant instead of fulfillment by Amazon, you still need to have fast shipping and preferably free shipping. There are lots of folks who aren't interested in buying something unless it's through Prime or has fast shipping. And so your conversion rate will definitely go down if you're doing FBM and not selling things well.